Welcome back. 4 have been killed, 9 injured at the Apalachee High School in Georgia, outside Atlanta. The suspect, a 14-year-old, has been apprehended. Governor Kemp has directed that all available resources are to be directed to the community of Winder and the victims of that shooting. Far too often does violence and bloodshed befall Americans, unfortunately, especially in Biden and Harris's America. But instead of uniting the nation in this time, Harris did what most leftists do. She used the dead for their political advantage.
But our kids are sitting in a classroom where they should be fulfilling their God-given potential, and some part of their big, beautiful brain is concerned about a shooter busting through the door of the classroom. It does not have to be this way. It does not have to be this way. And, you know, this is one of the many issues that's at stake in this election. So New Hampshire, look, we have 62 days to go. 62 days to go.
Kids and teachers murdered, and there she is talking about the election. If this doesn't sum up the craven nature of this woman, I don't know what does. Joining us now for reaction is Robert Bluey. He's the president and executive director, editor of the Daily Signal. Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
The politics of school shootings have become familiar to us now, unfortunately. On the one hand, you have the conservative saying it's not about the gun, it's about the shooter. And on the other side, on the leftist side, you have Democrats standing up yelling that it's all about the guns, and they forget about any shooter involved in it. Why do we continue to have these very stale positions on this very tragic topic?
Well, that's a great question, and it's particularly relevant because I think that there are common sense solutions that Republicans and Democrats could come together and support. For instance, when we've had past school shootings, there has been an effort to strengthen and harden schools, and I think that that is an effort that whether your political beliefs are on the right or the left, you should be in favor of. I mean, we want to send our kids to schools where they will be safe and they won't face these types of threats. And one thing that Kamala Harris, by the way, left out of her remarks was any sort of praise for the heroes, the officers who were there who confronted the gunman and probably saved other lives. And so it's situations like this where I think they don't want to hear lectures about gun control and getting Democrats elected to Congress where we know that there's not going to be any serious effort to pass any laws. They just want a demagogue on this issue again and again.
It's true, and it's tragic because at the end of the day, it involves innocent children who are at stake here. And every time we see these massive checks go overseas to help these obscure programs that the State Department funds, billions of dollars, or we're sending more warcraft to foreign nations, billions of dollars, by the way, you can't help but wonder how much that money would actually go towards these public schools we fund, and these public schools that are completely unprotected. As you mentioned, they're unbolstered, they're unfortified. There's some basic things we can do to install some additional security to protect against situations like this, but we never hear politicians talk about that.
We don't. And remember, it was Kamala Harris who several years ago came out in opposition to school resource officers, those very guards that protect the kids. And so she has a long history of wanting to defund police. She's trying to obviously flip-flop on those positions now because she sees how deeply unpopular they are with the American people. But I don't think that the American people are going to buy it. They know enough about Kamala Harris and her past positions as Attorney General, as a senator from the liberal state of California, to see through what she really believes. And on this particular issue, I think, as you pointed out earlier, they don't need a lecture right now from a podium, and they don't need to be told that a different person in the White House is going to maybe do something differently. The Democrats have been in the White House for the last 3.5 years, and that hasn't stopped school shootings. We need to change course. We need to have a different approach to this. And I think, as you've outlined, one of those important steps that we take is to strengthen the security of our schools.